Imagine picking up the phone and getting a call that there has been a mass shooting at one of your friend's businesses. The owner of this dance studio is absolutely devastated. In an exclusive interview with WSFA 12 News, she talked about how it was her lifelong dream to open a business just like this one. One thing we know is that this community is really trying to heal right now, and we're starting to see some of the visual signs of that. Take a look at this new video coming in just moments ago. We could see crews ripping down the mahogany masterpiece dance studio sign. This was Phil Dowdell's home, and I was standing in the yard the moment the news broke of a third arrest. I mean, we were just standing in the front yard and they said third arrest. What's going through your head? After hearing about this problem, I reached out to the Montgomery Housing Authority, and within an hour, neighbors tell me there were 3 lawnmowers out here in the Cedar Park area mowing this property. But it all started right here on the tarmac at Maxwell Air Force Base when the president got off of Air Force One. The president of the United States is here in Montgomery. He's exiting Air Force One as we speak. He has those aviators on that you always see him traveling in. Sally, the president is back in Montgomery. We watched Marine One fly in, and we have another chopper flying in right now. As I told you earlier, Marine One does have a decoy helicopter. The Marbury Volunteer Fire Department was really hard hit. I want to give you a look at some of these new images that we are seeing tonight. You can see the side of this metal building completely ripped off. You can even see like the door frame is still up, that door just barely hanging on. You also have sheet metal scattered across the yard. I'm now joined by Sergeant Wayne Bolt with the fire department. Now, you say no one was inside, but the inside does have some damage. You've got debris scattered all over still. You have a kid's toy, making it feel even more personal. Just to talk about the lives that were impacted by this storm. Expecting up to 350 trucks here on the base, so this is about half of what we're talking about right now. You can see this is the sidewalk that once led up to Solomon's home. His sister tells me he was actually outside when the storm moved into this area. He then went inside to seek shelter, and then his mobile home exploded. The couple has 3 cars that look just like this. The windshields are busted. This lawsuit filed by the mayor says the city council's decision to fire 27 employees and cut multiple departments would literally shut down city government. Brady Talbert is unlocking the door to her dance studio just days after at least 4 people were killed in a mass shooting.
There's just no words to describe it.
Like many in this small city, she is heartbroken and sending her condolences to the victims. Talbert graduated from Dadeville High School in 2016. She knew she had a passion to inspire young minds and wanted to own a studio to do just that.
That senior year, you know, when you're a senior, everyone asks you, what are your plans? My answer stayed consistent, and that was to go to college. I studied business, come back, and to open a dance studio to serve my community.
Something she's done since 2021 until tragedy struck. Imagine picking up the phone and getting a call that there has been a mass shooting at one of your friend's businesses. That was the harsh reality for Ashley Stevens.
My mom actually came to my house and called me and was like, hey, I'm about to come inside. She told me what happened, and I just broke down because Raven was the first person I thought of.
Stevens went to high school with Talbert, but she says they've been friends for life. In college, she used a class project to highlight her friend's small business. This is that video.
After every practice, before events, after events, things like that, she gets her girls in a prayer circle and they pray together, and that, I feel like that really shows her character, how much she really does care for these girls.
Now, as people process this horrific crime, Talbert waits for a day her studio can once again be a place for positivity.
The process is just beginning, and it's gonna take a minute. I do plan to reopen this. This is not gonna stop my dreams.
In Dadeville, I'm Brady Talbert. Tall grass is creating a major snake problem in 2 Montgomery neighborhoods.
I can't have my grandchildren over. I cannot have company over because it makes my living conditions hell.
Sharon Taylor lives along Cresta Circle near Smiley Court. This field of waist-high grass sits just behind her house. It's attracting snakes like this one she got on video.
What my son just encountered as he was coming out the door and going across the street to his grandmother's house. The first snake we captured was about this long. It was this long. It was all black, this long snake. The snake was pregnant. I don't know how many babies it had.
Her family was able to stop the snake before it got into her neighbor's driveway. Sandra Moore has lived here for 30 years and says this snake problem has been an issue for much of that time.
They don't want to cut the grass. They don't want to do nothing.
The Montgomery Housing Authority owns this property and others in West Montgomery. Residents say they are failing to properly maintain the land. We also visited this field near Cedar Park, which is causing similar problems for residents in the greater Washington Park community.
Recently, my husband killed a snake. I've got 2 neighbors on the street over that killed a snake.
Classy Thomas says she spoke with the Housing Authority on cutting the grass. She claims they agreed to cut the first 100 feet from Mobile Highway, then put the rest into hay bales.
But that has not happened.
After hearing about this problem, I reached out to the Montgomery Housing Authority, and within an hour, neighbors tell me there were 3 lawnmowers out here in the Cedar Park area mowing this property. The Housing Authority says the grass was scheduled to be cut, but residents say it's rare to see them do it.
Yeah, they got the word that you were coming, and they wanted to make sure that it looked halfway decent.
The Housing Authority tells me the properties will be maintained going forward. Councilwoman Audrey Graham oversees both neighborhoods and hopes this is the case.
They may have cut it once or twice here or there, but there has never been a regular routine of maintaining this property.
Residents are ready for change and to stop having these unexpected guests.
Because we don't know what we're going to walk up on next.
Brady Talbert, WSFA 12 News. A front porch without a home. This is where Stephanie Brown used to live. Her mobile home was destroyed in the Autauga County Twister. She was running errands in Montgomery that day.
And the next news I got that the tornado had hit and took my brother.
Solomon Antonio Smith was Brown's youngest brother. He lived just down the street. You can see this is the sidewalk that once led up to Solomon's home. His sister tells me he was actually outside when the storm moved into this area. He then went inside to seek shelter, and then his mobile home exploded.
The trailer was lifted up the first time and shot back down, the tornado. Then it picked it back up and it exploded. And I assume, I don't know because I wasn't there, that's when he got hurt and died.
Now Brown is only left with photos of her brother. She's had to find them by digging through debris. She remembers him as a man who deeply loved his family.
It's 5 of us still. My brother wasn't perfect, but he was perfect for us.
She's relying on her faith during this tragic time and has found great peace in knowing her brother is in a better place.
Wherever he at, I believe he happy, baby.
And as for her future,
I can't say, but I'm gonna keep praying. I keep asking God to guide me, show me, and I'm fine. He spared my life.
One of her priorities will be finding a permanent place to live. As for now, she's staying in a hotel. Brady Talbert, WSFA 12 News. Fishing in Alex City, an activity and place that go hand in hand. Some visit Lake Martin, others float down the Tallapoosa River. But for Snow Queen and her husband, Coley Creek is the ideal spot. It's a great way to escape their day-to-day troubles. A little luxury that's free. You told me you're living paycheck to paycheck right now.
We are.
What is that like?
Hard with food and diesel going up and daycare.
Snow and her husband are raising a 1-year-old. Jameson loves to play, but unfortunately, he has little room to do it. He's growing up inside this camper.
Can't run around and, and just pick up a toy and just tote it to another room. He just totes it from one end to the other end. And he can't really play.
It's tough. Snow makes $300 a week at this Dollar General in Kellyton. Her husband does seasonal work for a power company. Despite their limited income, they still wanted to create a better life for their son. That's how the dream of living in a tiny home came about. They bought this shed, but to finish renovations, they needed a loan. With few places to turn, they went to this payday lending shop in Alex City. They handed over the title to their truck in exchange for $1,000.
So you were willing to give up your only vehicle so your son could have a better place to live?
My kids come first.
This is the truck Snow pawned off to give her baby a better home. But with a rising interest rate, she still can't pay off her loan, and at the end of the day, had to sell the tiny home of her dreams just to try to catch up. You got into this thing because of that tiny home, and now you don't even have it.
No, I sold it to fix the truck.
But that doesn't mean her problem is solved. Snow's monthly interest rate is 25%, and her annual interest rate is over 300%. The day we spoke with her, she said she had just made a $900 payment. Nearly all of it went toward her interest.
Basically, I still owe them $1,249. They took 49 cents off. 49 cents. It's mind-blowing.
But not unrealistic. Experts say it's happening across the state.
Back when we did a report about 3 or 4 years ago, there were more payday lenders in our state than there were Starbucks and McDonald's combined.
Robin Hayden works with Alabama Arise, a group that pushes for state policies that alleviate poverty. They helped create this joint report, which shows more than 200,000 Alabamians taking out payday loans each year. In 2018, more than 1.7 million payday loans were given in our state.
Ultimately, as long as people are economically struggling, these storefronts are going to come in and exploit that.
Many states regulate payday lenders. Alabama's neighbor, Georgia, has banned them, and Nebraska has capped annual interest rates at 36%. But here in Alabama, payday lending is legal, and annual interest rates can soar as high as 456%.
So we're really behind when we look at ways we can protect Alabama citizens.
Alabama Arise wants state lawmakers to put more regulations in place to protect borrowers. They call it a debt trap, where people are forced to take out more loans to pay off their pre-existing loans. Exactly what Snow was told to do.
This payday company said to pay us.
Yeah.
You should go to another payday company.
Yeah. To get the money from them, to pay them.
What does that solve?
Nothing. More in debt.
Prior to inflation, Snow says she took out a loan and was able to pay it off before the interest piled up. That's one way she justified revisiting a payday shop. But some people still question her decision.
What would you say to someone at home that instead of blaming the system, blames your individual decision to...
No, they do. They called me crazy, told me I was crazy for doing it, but I was thinking about my kids. Especially my 1-year-old.
A woman motivated by motherly instinct, working to pay off a growing debt that confines her 1-year-old to a camper she hoped was only temporary. Brady Talbert, WSFA 12 News.
And Brady also reached out to Lend Nation, the company Snow visited for her loan. We have not received a comment.
Cash quick. Easy money. Those are the promises payday lenders are making Alabamians each and every day. It's cash, experts say, comes at a cost.
It sounds like you're calling it kind of a trap.
We call it a debt trap. We've called it toxic lending. We've called it predatory.
Robin Hayden with Alabama Arise says it's a problem across the state. People getting trapped in the cycle of debt, paying astronomical interest rates as high as 456%. Making it all but impossible to pay off the loan. She has sympathy and knows people fall into desperate times. When she was in her early 20s, she needed money to move out of her apartment. She considered a payday loan, which her bank offered at the time, but was given a word of wisdom from an unlikely source.
And the banker, thank goodness, said to me, "You don't need to do this. This is a terrible deal. We shouldn't even offer this." And to their credit, a lot of banks stopped offering these types of loans because they realized they were just exploitative.
A so-called exploitative practice Hayden now works to fight. She is the executive director of Alabama Arise, a group that backs state policies to improve the lives of Alabamians living in poverty. Payday lending companies will tell you their practices assist thousands of hardworking people in getting through difficult financial situations with programs that fit your needs. But Hayden argues they're taking advantage of people.
If I loan you money knowing at the front end that you're not going to be able to really afford to pay it back in 2 weeks, I'm also complicit in creating a cycle of debt.
And the cycle of debt could be further prevented if state leaders would step in. Alabama Arise wants lawmakers to consider a 30 days to pay bill. For example, instead of a borrower owing 17.5% in 2 weeks and the debt growing, they would have a full month to make that payment.
It's not the end-all be-all solution, but in states that have instituted this reform, they've actually found that about half of payday loan stores closed.
But here in Alabama, these bills are often overlooked here at the State House. In fact, this 30 days to pay bill was brought up in this year's legislative session, but lawmakers never passed it. Representative Philip Ensler was rooting for the bill. Ensler used to teach at Montgomery Public Schools and saw how these loans affect families struggling to pay for rent and buy groceries.
I just was heartbroken at how unfair that was, knowing that they were trying to do the right thing and pay off their loans, but that they were expected to do so in such a short amount of time and also with such a high interest rate.
If this could have helped so many people, why didn't it go anywhere in the Alabama legislature?
Great question. You know, politics is a messy process, and as they say, you know, how the sausage gets made has a lot of factors.
Alabama Arise says the payday industry is powerful with lobbyists that can prevent these types of bills from passing.
What we have to do is fight back with people power.
They urge people to call their state representatives and share their concerns, but until there is meaningful legislation in place, Alabamians will have to protect themselves. Victims of predatory lending will tell you there are other options.
What's your advice to someone who is considering going to a payday lender?
Don't do it. I DoorDash. I DoorDash. I Uber. I Grubhub.
But if you're still considering a payday lender, Alabama Arise suggests visiting a nonprofit credit counselor or credit repair service.
They will give you the best advice. They're not trying to profit off of your dilemma.
Also, shop around. Alabama Arise says credit unions offer more affordable interest rates.
There are small lenders in Alabama who are regulated by Alabama's Small Loans Act, and they're unable to charge those types of exorbitant interest rates.
Finally, although it may sound counterproductive, a credit card could be a better option.
Credit cards have their own pitfalls for sure, but credit card interest rates are capped at a lower rate than payday loans currently are.
Precautions Alabamians can take to protect their wallets and well-being, while payday lending remains legal and largely unchecked. Brady Talbert, WSFA 12 News.